How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the next episode. What we're going to do on this one here is we are going to install the Volvo Penta SX stern drive. One of the things you want to do before you get to this point is you need your engine alignment tool. You can see I've greased it pretty good. You want to be able to slide it in place. Let's see if I can get it in there. Just like that. And you want to be able to spin it with 2 fingers. As long as you can spin it with 2 fingers, you can pretty much say that this is good to go. If you even have to grunt at all to turn it, it's going to be a problem. The cylinders, we've actually let those lay down for right now while we're getting everything prepped to install the stern drive. With this model, which is a little bit different, if you're using an OMC Cobra, it's going to be a little bit different than this model. And one of the reasons is, on an OMC Cobra, there's a seal that goes all the way around here. On a Volvo Penta, you don't actually have that same seal. They don't use the seal in the same way that the OMC does. In fact, the only one that they use on the Volvo Penta is right around this area where the water intake is. There isn't one around this surface, and you don't even really need to apply gasket sealing compound around here because the sealing surface happens inside this area. A little bit different design is better, easier to do repairs on. You can take your stern drive off and in reality just buy a bunch of these little guys and you'll be in good shape. So as you saw there, before you even think about getting the stern drive on here, you have to check the engine alignment. If you don't check it, don't proceed from here. Don't even bother. You're going to end up trashing your gimbal bearing and who knows whatever else. So first step, engine alignment. Second step is, let's go ahead and apply this seal that goes in and around that area so we can make sure we get that water area sealed up. Okay, you've probably seen me reference this stuff a million times. This is your gasket sealing compound. Definitely have to have this. Then we've got our seals. I don't have the part numbers for these. If you're curious, hit me up. I'll tell you what they are. But these 2 are for the shaft, and then this is for the water area right there. So what we're going to do first is we'll take this seal out, and you want to make sure it fits before you put your gasket sealing compound in there, because last thing you want to have happen is you find out you got the wrong seal. This one's good. Notice it doesn't want to stick, doesn't want to stay in there very well. So you take some of your gasket sealing compound, it'll help it stick a little bit here. Alright, let's apply it. It does kind of get all over the place. Don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. If you're that worried about it getting all over the place, you can clean it off later on if you like. Okay. And let's see if we can get some of these crevices. Alright. And then we'll take our seal. You'll notice now it stays in there really nice. You want to coat both sides of the seal. Alright, just like that. And that is ready to go. Okay. So your water jacket seal is good. There also is another surface in here. I'm not 100% sure if you have to use gasket sealing compound around the inner bellow. I probably am going to put some in there just because I'm not 100% sure if it needs it, but that's how I know it seals. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some in here just as a precaution. Alright. Now we're left with these 2 little ones. Let's go take a little trip over to the stern drive and prep that thing up. I think we're going to grease the U-joints on it as well while we got it out, just to make sure we've got enough grease in there. Okay, so remember the two seals here? We'll get to those in a second. But you can see the two grease points here. What we'll do is we don't want to kind of go overboard. If you put too much grease in here, they'll start to blow out these little areas in here. There's pieces of rubber. You really don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is just very lightly try to fill it. Alright, it is taking it just barely. I think I feel confident maybe with one. I mean, really, you don't have to put that much in here. You really don't. Okay. And let's spin it around here. Yep, and you can see now we have access to this one. Gonna have to get, there we go. All right, let's give one full pump. And just keep an eye out. If you start to see it squirting out the side, you want to stop. Or you hear any popping noises? Okay, yeah. Alright, there we go. So that is both U-joints, and you can kind of feel it. Feel if you have any play in here or not. We're at the bottom here. No, it's good. The U-joints are nice and flexible. Alright. Yeah. See, that's good. Alright, anyway, let's talk about these little guys. So really what you wanted to use is a pick. Let's see. Let's see if we can pop them off here. These are very flat, which tells me these have been in here for a while. Now you may be wanting to do this one first, and I always do that too. But if you do, it makes it hard because then you have to walk it over another surface. That one I just pulled it right on over, so it's fine. But look how flat this thing is. Jeez. All right, all the way off. Take a look at that. Okay, let's grab the other one. And we'll roll this one off too. Okay, good deal. So, those are those. And these other ones are definitely a lot more round than the other ones were. And you could feel like the rubber isn't all dried out. So anyway, let's go ahead. Let's see if I can get it on camera here. So we'll roll down. I'm not going to say what this looks like right now, but I know you're all thinking what I am. Alright. There we go. See how it gets stuck in that little valley again? Boom, we're done. Okay. So this surface is pretty clean here. No issues in there. The other area you want to pay attention to is in here. You get a lot of calcium buildup. So I've actually been in there already and kind of removed all that. So anyway, here's what we've done so far. Grease the U-joints, both sides. Put 2 new seals, even on the OMC Cobras, by the way, even though it's a Volvo Penta, you still have to do these too, by the way, so keep that in mind. With the cone clutch design, they kind of make it a little bit easier. I like this design, by the way. This is great. Compared to the OMC Cobra, this is fantastic. So anyway, we are pretty much good right now. I kind of want to talk about these zincs. I'm probably going to do that I may do that in the next video. We'll see here. No, you know what? We'll go ahead and install this, and then we'll talk about zincs afterwards. We can do it just the same. It's not that hard. It's only on by 2 bolts here, so we'll talk about it afterwards. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and flip back over to the boat, and we'll go ahead and get this installed. The other thing you need to make sure is you want to get some on these splines. These are what go into the engine coupler. You want to coat these with grease. So you can, while you got your grease gun out right now, you can actually go ahead and coat. Let's see here. See if I can get it on camera. I know you're thinking too. Here go your gloves. True. All right. You don't want to put too much on it, but just enough to get all the splines good. You may want to coat it on here too, but don't. That's gasket sealing compound. See if I can get the lid off. Yeah. Remember, anytime you have seals, think about gasket sealing compound. Except for the exhaust manifold riser. Definitely don't want to put it on that. Okay. This technically is ready to go. Ready to rock and roll. We got marine grease on the splines here. We got gasket sealing compound down here. U-joints are good. Everything else is sealed. We got all the calcium out of there. And we're ready to put this in. Let's flip back over the boat now. Okay. So, as you may have noticed on this video, I'm actually using a stand, which I don't really use. I use normally my hand to hold it and shoot it like that. So, on this series, I wanted to kind of show you how I'm going to install it with just one person. And the cone clutch, fortunately, is like way heavier than your standard clutch dog. So keep that in mind if you're by yourself and you're trying to install this thing. Don't hurt your back. If you do have a second person that can help, by all means, get a hold of them, have them help you out, because this part is really kind of tricky. I've got another video where I've showed this process before, and I had someone helping me. This one I don't, so we're gonna kind of wing it here. Let's see what ends up happening here. So here's I got the stern drive off camera. What I'm gonna do is kind of slide it in place just like so, slowly walking it forward. Now once you get to this part, you're gonna start aiming for the gimbal bearing. You may or may not have enough reach. We do in this case. Notice how it goes in there with ease. All right, still no problem. Like butter, right? So from this part, and I've seen some people on YouTube where they actually ratchet around the back, in and around here, to essentially pull the stern drive inwards. If your engine is aligned perfectly, or let's just say even closely, and I don't know where all this mess came from, you don't have to suck this thing forward. It'll actually just go. That's the whole point of doing the engine alignment. This is kind of to that point now where we're getting is, if your engine is not aligned properly, your Volvo Penta SX will not slide forward. So we're kind of into the we're almost into the coupler right now. We're getting close. Let's move it a little bit closer forward, see what happens. I promise you, I did not rehearse this. Okay, so notice now it has enough to get where you can barely see the bolts, but not enough to start. Let's go check the other side. it's about the same. So we have roughly, looks like 3/4 of an inch, maybe less, to get in. Could be a few different reasons why it's like that, because the splines, maybe they're not lined up perfectly. So what we're gonna do is we're actually just gonna jiggle the stern drive a little bit to try to help align whatever's in there. And in some cases, you gotta pull it out a little bit and try it again. You may have to go back and forth. See how it goes back and forth? Now also, if you notice how it is here, where it doesn't want to go, don't force it. It's probably off by just a few splines. So pull it back out a little bit, take this, and just turn it barely, just like that. See how I turned it? And bring it in again. Notice how it doesn't want to go now? So back it up, kind of move it back to where it was, and we're talking barely moving it. Okay, so we're kind of back to where we were again. Let's I think what we're going to do here is we're going to change the pitch. If you notice, the whole thing is kind of resting. Well, you can't really see it, but the stern drive is resting on the skeg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the entire out drive up by putting some blocks of wood underneath the skeg, making where this is a cleaner line. Okay, so all I've done now is I put a 4x4 piece of lumber underneath, and what I'm going to do is just wiggle it. And I'm starting to see progress on the left side. You can't see it. It's on the other side. Enough where I believe I can start a bolt. Maybe not. All right, so I've kind of just been wiggling this off camera for a while, so you didn't have to see me wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Anyway, it paid off. You just have to wiggle a bunch. I think the trick, and I keep forgetting about this, even with my OMC, it's the same way. The trick is to get this thing to go all the way in, is to lift this up in the air like this. Like that. And once you do that, for some reason, it works out just fine when you do that. I don't know what it is. I think it just changes the direction, the overall direction of it. And it works great, but that is not the right size nut to use. All right, here we go. All right, there's one down here. Get that started. Yeah, but that's pretty much gonna do it. Let's start with this middle one. The gap, I don't need to pull it. Like if I lift it up, it closes itself. Yeah, like I'm doing that by hand with minimal effort. So I'm not really sucking it close, it's just tightening it barely. Okay. And this is not the right order, by the way, so if you're watching this saying, oh yeah, just tighten them all at once, it's not how you're supposed to do that. So we're just gonna get them snug. This is a 5/8, by the way. You can't use a long socket. Let's see if I can change the pitch a little bit. Okay. Let's go to the other side and tighten that up now. Okay, so let's talk about the torque. What we're going to do is start off with 25 foot-pounds, and we're going to start off with the center one. It's the same for OMC and Volvo. Once you get everything set for 25, then we're going to go back and re-torque everything. Let's see if we get all the way in there. For 50. Alright. And let's go to the top. Looking good. Alright. We were actually pretty close after all. Alright, now let's flip over to 50. Alright, here we go. And this one's going to be a little bit tougher because we have doubled the torque. You can actually hear it on camera there. How much more force is required. Here we go. All right. And last one. Woohoo! All right. Hope you liked the video. As always, hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you thought it was helpful. If you have any questions, concerns, leave some comments in the comments field below. We'll make a part 2 to this video where we hook up the shift cable. This is a cone clutch, different than the dog clutch, so it has a little bit different nuances. And we'll cover that in the next video. As always, have a good one, everybody, and we will catch you on the next episode.